Our region's business is sponsored by PNC for the achiever in us all, and by Fregasso Financial Advisors. How different could your life be? Fee-based investment management securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Our region's business. Innovation, transformation, momentum. Improving our communities and driving technologies that will shape our region for generations. The collaboration that brings vitality, prosperity, and life to living. Stay with us for the coming half hour as we examine in depth our region's business. Now, here's your host, Bill Flanagan.
Today on our region's business, resilient regions and what makes them that way, plus a growing cadre of women in leadership in our region. But first, the regional indicators, a snapshot of just where we stand against the competition. The current issue of Pittsburgh Quarterly magazine features a special section that provides perspective on the data gathered by the Regional Indicators Project, which regularly reports on how our region is doing against the competition. Doug Heuck is back with us today with a few highlights. He's publisher of Pittsburgh Quarterly and director of the Regional Indicators Project. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, this is a pretty ambitious undertaking. You sort of summed up across all the different metrics you're using to kind of give us a snapshot of how we're stacking up right now.
Well, we have the website, pittsburghtoday.org, and people can go to that anytime they wish and get the most up-to-date figures on all sorts of 10 categories. But we thought it would be a great idea to really put it together in one place to give people an annual report, which we will be doing again next year, just really to show us how we stack up. And you and I have both been journalists here for a long time, and it's very interesting now to see Pittsburgh, Greater Pittsburgh, we consider it 22 counties, to be in a much different position, really a much more ascendant and healthy position than many of our competitor regions.
Well, that's a good point. The genesis of the indicators goes all the way back to the old PG benchmark series from many, many years ago, and we do seem to be doing better than we did when this whole effort first started.
Well, at the time when John Craig and I started this series back at the Post-Gazette in 1995, we were in a situation where we wanted to do something to help Pittsburgh kind of gain a better position, and it was a tough time. I mean, we were trying to keep, everybody was across the spectrum was trying to figure out what could be done to get Pittsburgh in a much stronger economic position. And in the 26 years I've been here, it's really only been in the last couple of years that we see ourselves strong in a number of measures. We've always been strong in the arts and various other aspects and measures, thanks to the foundations largely. But now we're seeing job growth. We're seeing clearly, we know that the housing market has really kept us strong. We're the lowest by far in terms of the percentage of housing that's been in foreclosure. But a number of other measures, we really are, we're in a position now where we're not kind of reacting in fear and concern, but really in a position really to act more in strength in the future.
I was stunned with one of the most recent indicators that came out since this was published on I guess, employment in the region. And we're actually Pittsburgh leading February over February, right?
Well, and as you well know, it used to be that Pittsburgh, in its industrial heyday, would dive into a recession job-wise and then come jumping back out. And then for a number of years, over the last couple of decades, we would be slow going into recession and very slow coming out. So the great thing now is we were relatively slow to go into the recession. It was mild, but the change is our job growth is leading all of these 15 regions coming out. That's a new thing, and I think it bodes very well.
Anything else that really struck you when you sat down and sort of packaged it all up together about sort of the Pittsburgh of today? That's the website, but the Pittsburgh today compared to what it was just 5 or 10 years ago?
Well, it's one thing that maintains our kind of quality of life is we are still among the very safest of the regions. And interestingly enough, that's not so much because of our population age, but it's more that we have a relatively much more intact social fabric. I guess one thing that is different, and you and I know in the media, this mantra of how everybody's leaving town, well, that hasn't been true for a number of years in terms of the old song about the young people leaving. But now what we're seeing is, in fact, more people moving to Greater Pittsburgh than leaving. And when the 2010 census figures come out this summer, we will see if that's a continuing trend, but that's what the demographic experts expect to see, and that's a major fundamental change. People are coming here when you have an unemployment rate that is lower than the national average for some 4 years. The word gets around. It's a place where you can come and get a job.
Yeah, why leave, right? Where do you go? And then why not come here? Well, the special section in the magazine is really ambitious. It covers everything from demographics and those trends to the economy, the important quality of life measures, the environment, some issues there that have to be addressed. You know, you got 14 other regions you regularly take stock against. My question is, in an increasingly global economy, are they still the right 14, or do we need to think bigger?
Your timing is perfect on that question. Had a phone call today with a group that's looking at measuring us against some international regions, and we are looking at that a couple of different ways. The key for us is we want to provide the statistics that are reliable and that measure the same things, but we're definitely looking at that. We're also getting into a number of kind of in-depth journalistic projects to augment the kind of flat statistics to give people more of an in-depth understanding on what some of the key issues in the region are.
Well, it's great. It's a great read. Pittsburgh Quarterly on newsstands now, pittsburghtoday.org, always there online. Doug Heuck from both. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Bill. Great day.
And we'll be back in just a moment with a story of resilient regions and just how our region stacks up. Stay with us.